Hello everyone, welcome to a new episode of my webcast, The Growth Invitation, where I bring on people from all over the globe to share with you their growth journey to inspire you to go on your own. Today, I have a super special guest with me. Today, I've got Kris, who is an incredible friend of mine. We met as part of the Elite Mentorship Forum family, and over the past few months, he's been on such an incredible growth journey and a journey of self-discovery. Welcome, Kris.
Hello, how are you?
Amazing.
We've arrived.
We have arrived. What's happened over the past few months?
So essentially, I took off on a growth journey after having a pretty massive 2020 to realize myself and discover what it was that I was looking for and finding it was me.
So you were starting off in this journey of, I already know some stuff. I want to use my knowledge to help people.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And what happened?
So I learned how to gather my own worldview, how to gather my own awarenesses and collect more awarenesses and be able to build my own worldview that I created myself as a lighthouse of love. To have that as something that I was aspiring to become and to understand the value of becoming that for me and everybody that I interact with.
So it's interesting how you almost flipped it in the way that you set out originally to discover more and gain more knowledge of how you can help other people. You went on a journey instead of how you can help yourself.
Yes, yes. Well, I've discovered that to be in joy in myself, it's best to be in service to other people. And to get the wheels turning on that, you've got to leap in and be of service to other people well first.
Okay, so tell us more about how that happens. How did you come to realize that the first starting point isn't always go serve other people? The starting point is to discover and be more aware and love yourself. How did you get to that part?
So I was motivated by love. So what motivated me was looking to make my heart whole once more. And so by doing that, looking to learn to love myself in new ways, I learned that how I was denying myself love. I've essentially reclaimed the power of joy that I once experienced as shame. By looking for it and not being afraid to look for it, I was able to reclaim that as the power that I have to change. The power that I have to see the world in more constructive ways. The power to, instead of experience a spotlight of fear here, I can experience a spotlight of love when in the same moment, I just change my focus of attention.
So would you say that the biggest part of what you think is the most important now is to understand that you're always empowered to change your focus? Absolutely.
So it's one thing to realize we are present. Yes, cool. We are here now, we're very present, but it's the other thing to realize the power of one's presence.
What's the difference?
In Eckhart Tolle's presence, there's a very powerful presence there. There's a man that is a very powerful, knowing being. To be able to have that belief within yourself, to realize yourself, and that you can have a whole higher worldview that's your own, that's above, the clouds of mind that others might try and encourage you to hide your light. You can own that without fear and be most holy here and understand that it's our job to shine bright.
Absolutely. And how did you go about doing that? Was it you went somewhere to learn something and then that was it? Or was it kind of more of a roundabout way that you found that out?
I've been on a journey of self-discovery since I was born, and so have we all. And on that way, I've had hurdles in my life that caused me to need to reassess my worldview, to look how I needed to let go of parts of myself that caused me to act in ways that didn't serve me. So looking for where my worldview was being pushed, even though I felt most gently, it's still sharing it in a way that wasn't constructive.
Would you mind sharing what happened?
Essentially, we can learn how to push away the people we love the most.
Okay.
Yes. Only accidentally. But it takes us to do that, to realize it sometimes, that when we essentially worship false idols, give too much of ourselves away, too much of our thought away to an idea, rather than making sure that my being is comfortable in my body.
Is it more of a, you learn something and then regardless of whether it felt right inside, you followed that learning?
Yes.
And that knowledge?
It's like being a tomato plant. So when you grow a tomato tree, you're trying to grow it as tall as it can be towards the sun. And you stake it, and as it grows out to the sides, you want to prune the side off. You want to prune the part that isn't going to serve the taller growth. Mm. And so as the tomato grows, you prune the sides off and you get more fruit. Mm. Because you're not growing in ways that don't serve your greatest vision.
So I guess at that point, then you learn certain things that didn't serve your actual purpose. Yeah. Because out there, let's be honest, out there are so many people talking about personal growth, personal journey, self-discovery, you name it, there is someone talking about it.
I've heard
There's
many
a multitude of people talking about it. But essentially, there are some who are more closer to what we believe is the truth than others. It's not about not learning everything and the things that you get in touch with. It's actually more about making your own decision based on what your heart tells you is right.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And that comes back to here, that connection between our head and our heart. So feeling our hearts and not being afraid to feel our feelings, and learning to think about our feelings in new ways. That's how we give up the old days. Being stuck in negative wonder that caused me to be caught up in my ideas of another time meant that I wasn't living presently.
You were hurt both by yourself and by other people around you who were very close to you. Mm-hmm. That caused you to shut down.
Yeah, so I realized more once I was able to step out of an old world, how much of me I had to cover because I was being attacked. And so when I had to cover, I was protecting myself. And that meant that I had to bring my wings around and cover myself up because of people denying the way I saw the world.
If we imagine, you use wings, so I'm going to use the analogy of an angel, right? Yeah. So imagine a bright shining angel whose light is from the center and goes out. You had to go like this to protect your own heart and your own light.
Yeah.
So then everything that everyone else around you tried to do, you deemed as an attack.
Mm-hmm. Saw the world in unloving ways.
How did you go about unraveling that?
Not being afraid to discover the value of shame. Brené Brown talks about it. Nobody likes talking about this, which is exactly why we need to talk about this.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And it's where the joy lies. When we realize that conflict is where we've just forgotten how to transcend, and we realize that we can transcend, we find the higher place. We dig for the gold, we rediscover the light. Mm. We figure out how to rediscover wonder together. But that's why we're here.
But that's through actually slowly and consistently allowing yourself to be exposed to situations where the old you would have perceived you would be attacked.
Yes. So letting life inform me. So I've been to about 10 or 15 countries now.
Oh my God.
And having spent different time in different places looking at what different religions had to say in different ways, that we're all pointing towards the same thing.
And what is that same thing?
We're all lit up by the sun. We all are one under the sun. We are an ocean in a drop. We are a drop in an ocean. The water that's in you is the same water that's within me. And we're all 80% water anyway. Through
the discovery of different cultures and experiences of the diversity, you had this realization that we're all the same. We actually are all the same. So what is there not to love? If you are able to love others, you are able to love yourself in the same way, because we are all one and we're all the same. And if you're able to love yourself, you can love others because we are all one.
Yes. And when we deny others our love, we are denying ourselves an opportunity to share the love we have. And that's where our heart gets heavy. Mm. That's where the heaviness here kind of weighs us down. That's what Brené Brown talks about. What's the heavy part about the shield that we cover? It's the fear of giving our love away in case we might get hurt.
So for my audience out there who has this shield around them right now, what is your advice on the best way to take that first step?
The greatest insight that I could give is to discover that part of ourselves that is one. Now, the greatest part of me is the greatest part of you too. And that we exist at all is pretty incredible. When we're feeling uneasy, remember to love ourselves first.
Okay.
And love ourselves like our lives depends on it. Because when we take those moments where we once felt fear and we remember to breathe, and be the example and the invitation to others to do the same thing. Allow each other to find their own center rather than acting from an imbalanced place. The more that we're able to do that for ourselves, the easier our life becomes. It's easier to flow through life. How we look at other people's actions, is how we look out through our own eyes. And if we look out through our own eyes to be victimized, we give our power away. And when you can transcend that, when you can say, okay, that was once, but not now, and we look for a whole new other way, one with greater vision, as we make our way towards greater vision, we remember that we're connected to our own guiding star. And then we can look up and see our potential, and remember that with an open mind, everything is possible. And relieving that from our hearts, that we have self-belief and self-esteem, and that they act as one within us, we no longer need to feel fear that we might become afraid.
All of it starts from self-awareness. When you become self-aware, then you can change your response, change your belief, and change your perception about the world.
Like having traveled through a few different countries, the realization that the cultures show tolerance in different ways, and that I can learn all the ways in which they share tolerance so that I can show tolerance more easily, because there is no one way of being that is right or wrong. And to learn that I can stand above duality, like I live between ease and grace, my darkness, which is my potential, and my light, which is how I bring things, how I make things. And I remember to remain heart-centered, and I'll find the middle way, as the 𝐿𝐵𝐸𝐽 would speak about, like finding the middle way between the two, but connected to my light, remembering that I can bring the rainbow of colors to it all. Like how I look at the middle way from here is the story that I'm telling myself. And when I'm empowered as the scriptwriter in my own movie, not giving it away to what others have to say, then it's my way, and I get to be my lighthouse.
So Chris's experience really demonstrates that when you become self-aware, you get to rewrite your own movie, because you don't always have to be on the receiving end. You can be on the creating end. Thank you so much, Kris, for coming on to the show. Thank you so much for tuning in to my webcast. This is the last episode of my first series. In a few months' time, I'm going to be releasing a new series of the Growth Invitation. I'll see you then. Bye for now.
See ya.